Welcome to The Good Life. Thank you for stopping by. I'm Patrick Harney. As always, you can watch this on the M-Pods Network YouTube channel. You just go to The Good Life with Patrick Harney playlist and boom, there it is. As well as a lot of my previous episodes, well, all my previous episodes. Some of them still getting up from the old channel, but bear with me. So this is the first episode of 2022. Welcome, we are here. We made it. Hopefully, this year will continue to grow and improve on things that you have been currently working on, or that you've been previously working on, I should say. And yeah, I'm excited with this episode. I have a great conversation with the man who is the doppelganger to Bruce Willis. He does a lot of photo doubling for him and stand-in work for him, but mostly photo doubling now. And he is just a great guy. I mean, Eric is a great guy, and yeah, I'm just gonna jump in. I'm just gonna jump into the episode because I can't wait any longer, and I don't want you to wait any longer. Other than the fact that you should subscribe, like, comment, share, hit the notification button so you can be alerted when a new episode comes out. You know, all the housekeeping stuff. So, Eric, let's get to your conversation, buddy.
2022 is here, and it's time to make those New Year's resolutions. And what better resolution to make than to get healthy? Anytime Fitness in Hazlet, Michigan has everything you could need to get yourself fit, from free weights, machines, treadmills, ellipticals, and they're open 24 hours a day. Plus, they have showers and tanning. In times like these, staying healthy is incredibly important, not only to your physical health, but for your mental health as well. Look, I've been going there for 10 years, and it feels like a second home to me. I'm telling you, this is the place you need to be. Now, if you head into the gym and you mention The Good Life with Patrick Harney, you'll get your first month free. And if you're already a member and you mention this podcast, you'll get a free month of tanning. Take charge of your health at Anytime Fitness in Hazlet now.
All right, and we're live. Eric, thank you very much for being here, man. I appreciate you taking the time.
Hey, Patrick, thanks for having me, brother. Appreciate it.
So I got referred to you by a mutual friend of ours, Alexander Kane, and he told me to that you would be a really cool person to talk to, and I'm all about talking to cool people. So so thank you for spending the time and taking time out of your day. So I wanted to ask you, for one, so you're an actor. And you, on your Instagram, you are known as Bruce Willis Double. You are like the double for Bruce Willis, considering you guys look exactly alike. So, so how did you get into acting and performing and just the entertainment industry as a whole?
Well, I could sit here and probably it would take me about 10 hours to tell you the whole story, but we got 45 minutes to maybe an hour. So I'm gonna give you. I'll break it down for you and try to make it work in that time. I've been on this 20+ year journey. Not all with Bruce, but that was really what I wanted to do when I set out on this journey 20-something years ago. That people started telling me, dude, you look like Bruce Willis. You need to do something. You need to work with him. You should be photo doubling him or standing in for him. And so that just kind of like, I was always a big fan of Bruce's. I mean, I love Die Hard and, mainly the Die Hard films that had come out at that time. I was just a big fan of his, loved his acting, loved the way he carried himself, tough guy, and good looking dude and all that stuff. So anyway, being a fan of his, it just kind of like started stoking a fire in me that I started thinking maybe there is a resemblance. And then kind of as time went on, I really started noticing there is a resemblance. And then we both, which is too funny, kind of went bald at the same time. So but yeah, just it it all fell into place for me, but it took some time to fall into place, if that makes sense. I really didn't know anything about acting. I'd never taken any classes or, didn't study or anything like that. I felt like I had this look because of all the people that would constantly come up to me and, make comments about the resemblance. And it just really started growing in me, to like, this desire I had to work with him. So it wasn't that easy. I mean, we're talking back in, like 1998, 99, somewhere around there. That's when a lot of people started making comments but we didn't have the internet back then like we do now. So I was kind of fortunate because I had a guy that lived next door to me that worked for the government. He was a photographer. So he's like, hey man, why don't you come down to my studio? We'll shoot all your stuff and let the government pay for it. So I can't mention any names, but I went down to his studio. We shot some pictures, some 8x10s. I came down with a couple of outfits and stuff. And when I look back at those pictures, I was like, man, what the heck were you wearing? Because it just didn't make sense. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. So I had the pictures made up, and I live in Maryland. And Maryland's not a real big, we don't have a big film industry here. I mean, we did have some good shows that ran through here, like down in Baltimore City. And there's been a bunch of good films that have been filmed in DC and Maryland and in the surrounding area. But, when I got in the phone book, if any of you don't know what a phone book is, it was about that big, but the entertainment section was probably about that big. So there may have been like 2 or 3 pages to kind of thumb through and just try to find a company and a modeling agency or somebody where I could just send some photos to them so that they could take a look and hopefully they would agree that there's a resemblance. So sent these pictures in, and maybe about a year later, I got a phone call, and it was from a modeling agency called Nova Models, and I don't think they're in existence anymore. But so some girl on the other end, she calls me. She said, "Oh my God, where are you? You look so much like Bruce, and we'd love to, get you in for an audition." So I mean, I was on cloud 9 when she called, and half of it was truth. The other half of it, she was blowing smoke. So, but she did have an audition set up for me for the film Unbreakable. And so that was back in 2000. And again, I didn't have any acting experience. I mean, I can read, but it's a whole different ballgame when somebody puts a script in your hand and they want you to read in front of a camera and people are staring at you and you got to get into this character and what have you. So anyway, she and I jumped in the car. We went up to Philly, and, I got to this casting director's office. I think the casting director was Mike Lemon Casting out of Philadelphia. And so I get there. I mean, I'm scared to death, dude. I was, I kind of went in, and there was maybe about 10 to 15 people that were in the waiting room that were, they were all there to go back for different roles in this film Unbreakable. And so I got there, and I just kind of like sat there with kind of almost like burying my head in my hands because I was just nervous and really didn't know what to expect. People kept like leaning over, looking at me and staring. Maybe they thought, why is Bruce here? What's he doing sitting here when he should be back there with her or whatever. I mean, but I was nervous, scared. And then one guy got up and he came over to me and he said, man, I don't mean to keep staring at you. He said, but dude, your profile is like spot on to Bruce's profile. And he said, the lady you're here to see today, he said, I do voiceover work for her. So she and I are really good friends. And here's my card. I got an idea to do a commercial with you. And I was like, oh, all right, cool. So took his card, put it in my pocket. And then I got called to come back and stand in front of this camera. Lady hands me a script. See, I thought I was just going up there so they could just take a look at me and see if I do resemble him, if we have, you know, similar measurements, whatever. But it was a little different than that. So she hands me this script. I got to read a couple of paragraphs or whatever for this audition. And I mean, I did the best I could. I was nervous. And so after I finished reading, she said, well, you're done now. And I was like, that's it? I mean, am I going to get the job or what? She said, if we're interested, we'll call you. I said, all right, cool. So we went back home. A week goes by, 3 weeks go by, no call. So it's kind of like, you know, that was really like my first taste of rejection in this business. And it stung a little bit. It hurt. So anyway, yeah, I never got called from the lady, never got a call. And a year goes by, the movie comes out. I see the movie, and they had, what it was is, I don't know if you remember, but they go back in time and they had needed a young version of Bruce Willis. So Bruce is like in high school. He's with his girl. They get into a car accident. He's jacked up. I can't remember. I think she passed away. But I'm looking at this guy like, man, that dude doesn't look a thing like Bruce Willis. And he only had a couple of lines. I could have done that.
Yeah.
And so they fanned on me, you know, which was cool because after a year I was over it, but I wasn't over it. So I get a call from that guy that gave me his business card like a year later. And he said, man, listen, we got this, me and a partner of mine, we do these funny car commercials. And we're known as the Wild and Crazy Guys, like a spinoff of Dan Aykroyd and Steve Martin.
Oh yeah.
He said, we do these silly car commercials. Everybody in the area knows us. So we'd love to have you come up, and we're bringing in a young kid that was supposed to double the boy from the Sixth Sense movie. He said there was a contract issue and it fell through, so he didn't get the part. So, but we're going to bring him in. We're going to bring you in. We're going to shoot this commercial. And I was like, dude, count me in. I'll be there. So I get there, and we film in the guy's house. His family's there. You know, the crew, all the crews, they're there. You know, we did the scene where, I don't know if you remember that film where the boy's scared to death. He's hiding under his covers, and he wants to tell the doctor what his secret is. So they set the camera up and they shot me from the profile, and they got the boy hiding under the covers, and then they flipped the camera around, went over the shoulder, and then they came back and got me straight on. But we had a great time. It was funny. The guy, his name's Joel Gibbs. Him and his buddy that were in the commercial with us, you know, they were hilarious. So it was just a good atmosphere. We had a good time. Shot the commercial. Couple months later, you know, they edit. It goes on TV in New Jersey, in the Cherry Hill area of New Jersey. So the casting director that I interviewed or auditioned in front of, she sees it on TV. So she gets on the phone and calls Joe up. Where'd you find that guy? He said he was right there in your office that day. You auditioned him. Do you remember him? And she said, oh my God, how did I overlook this dude? How did that happen? So it was kind of like a bittersweet type thing.
Yeah.
You know? And then I got locked in with this, I used to work for US Airways, which is no more, but I worked at BWI Airport for a couple of years, and some guy gave me this card. I can't, it's been 20 something years ago, but one of the guys I worked with, he put a card in my hand and he said, hey, I know this company down in Baltimore City that does. I think they were called entertainment consultants. So they do like look-alike type stuff.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like entertainment for parties and get-togethers and stuff like that. He said, "Why don't you put your face in with the company and see if you can get some business with them?" So I did, and ended up getting a couple of pretty cool jobs. One of them was pretty neat because it was Planet Hollywood
Mm.
when it was in Baltimore City. So that was pretty slick. And then I got to go in and, you know, be Bruce Willis look-alike, walk around and shake people's hands and take pictures and all that. But that's really not what I wanted to do. I mean,
Yeah.
I did a few gigs, but it really wasn't like my heart's desire to just be a look-alike. I wanted to work with Bruce. So that, you know, but everything that I did was an experience, and it was all part of this journey that I've been on. And, you know, it shaped me. It shaped who I am in the industry, and, you know, the things that I've been able to do. And, you know, my story, whenever I tell people, and people that know me or people that don't know me, like yourself, you know, I try to inspire people with this journey that I've been on, because you know, it was something that I wanted so bad, and I didn't have an agent. I didn't have anybody helping me get to that, you know, to get to that point in my life where I was working with Bruce. But so it was a lot of grinding. It was a lot of this, the roller coaster ride of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I had this audition, you know, they you know, passed over me for somebody else, and, you know, my feelings were hurt, but I knew I had something. So I just kept grinding, and, you know, it took me a few years to get in with him. So that being said, all of that, all the ups and downs and the, you know, the close calls and everything that I went through, it shaped who I am.
Mm.
And, you know, it just, again, it's part of the journey, part of my journey.
Yeah.
But my point being is that if I can inspire somebody to whatever it is you aspire to do, I don't care what it is, you know, you set your heart and you set your mind, and you go after it with your whole heart, and you're going to have ups and downs, you know, but that's part of life, and that's part of the process. And eventually, if you don't give up, you'll make it. And that's what happened to me. And my career with Bruce, I mean, it's, dude, I'll get to that point. I know I kind of jump around a little bit, and I don't want to go from point A to point Z. I'd like to tell a couple more stories, but so the lookalike, let me back up. So I'm going to go back to the lookalike. So I did a few lookalike jobs, and then I got a call from a casting director out of Baltimore City, Pat Moran Casting. So I got my first opportunity as an extra. And again, I had to learn, you know, I had to learn the ropes, and I had to work my way up the ladder. So I got a little extra background gig on a film called A Shot in the Heart. And it was just for a day. And that was like my first time on a movie set.
Mm.
So it was pretty cool to sit back and just kind of watch who does what, and how how it all works together, how the crew works together. And but anyway, they sat me between one of my favorite actors, Giovanni Ribisi.
Yeah.
I think he's to me, in my book, he's one of the best out there.
He's very very underrated.
Yes. So they sat me next to him and another guy that was in a Arnold Schwarzenegger film. It might have been called Collateral. I think it was called Collateral, but his name was, I think I'm pronouncing his name right, Elias Koteas. If you see the movie, you'll know who he is.
Okay.
So they set me between these two guys. I didn't know who they were. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I did my deal that day, and I'll never forget. I had to go to the bathroom. had to go to the bathroom, so I just like got up and walked out and went, you know, found the bathroom. So when I came back, like the second AD or first AD, the guy came over. He said, "Look, don't ever get up without telling us where you're going. So that was kind of like my first, like, I gotta make sure I communicate before I, just take it upon myself to get up and walk out. So, but that's part of the process. You learn and you grow and you have these experiences. So I shot that day with them. And then I think maybe a week later, I saw the movie Gone in 60 Seconds with Nicolas Cage and Giovanni. So I'm like, oh, shoot, that was the guy. That's the dude I was sitting there. So I was like, well, that was pretty cool. I got a chance to watch him act and, and get that experience. And so then the next film, maybe a few months later, that came calling for me to do some extra work in was Ladder 49. So that was a pretty cool movie. The Joaquin Phoenix, John Travolta, Robert Patrick, Morris Chestnut. I mean, there was a list of good talent on that film.
Yeah.
So that was pretty slick. I got to go in for about 3 or 4 days on that movie. And one of the coolest things was they put me at John Travolta's table in the scene as a wedding guest. So Robert Patrick's sitting right here, Travolta's sitting there. And I just remember just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm sitting there with these dudes, man. Kept looking at John like, man, this is off the hook, because he was one of my favorites too.
Yeah.
And, growing up watching him on Welcome Back, Kotter and Grease and all those good films that he shot back in the day. So I'll never forget. I was nervous though, because I didn't want to bother them and just start talking to them unless they talk to me. So I just left them alone. And then Robert Patrick looks at John and said, he nudges John, hey, John, look at this dude next to me, man. He looks just like Bruce Willis. And I was like, here we go. So John starts, hey, Bruce, go over there at the table and handle my light work. Go get over there and handle them, straighten them guys out for me. So, the buzz got around the set. Hey, we got all these big names, plus we got old Willis here with us. So I thought, I was hoping that I would make a connection, that somebody would see me in the film business and be able to connect me to Bruce's camp. And it didn't happen. So, but it was a cool experience to work around these guys, to, again, learn some more about how, a day of shooting works, how the whole film, the filming, everything, how all that works. And so, I took that experience on to the next round. And again, back in the day, we didn't have these iPhones, man, where we could, you could get on there and look Bruce Willis's management company up, or you couldn't get any of that stuff. You had to get in the phone book, or I bought this magazine called the Hollywood Reporter.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I used to try to find out what Bruce was up to. Basically, I was stalking. But that's what you got to do. You got to try to find out what's going on. And so anyway, I found that this movie called Hostage was coming up, and they were going to shoot it in LA. And so I'm like, all right, cool. So I would always try to find out who the casting director was, and then if I could find out who they were, then I'd get my 8x10s together, put all my stuff on it, shove it in an envelope, and mail it. And I'm sure, probably 95% of my stuff went in the garbage can, because that's back then. They might not even look at it; they just toss it right in the garbage. So
yeah.
So anyway, I did get a call. I got a call from the casting director, and guy said, he said, hey man, are you local? I said, no, I'm on the East Coast. He said, well, can you get out here? I said, sure, I'll make my way out there. So I, on my own dime, I flew out and got into town. We didn't have Waze. and Google Maps and all that stuff. So I had to, the way you got around, either you had a map or you stop and ask people, hey man, where such and such located?
Mm-hmm.
So I found my way over to, actually, when I got into town, I called the guy, and I'm not going to mention any names, but he was with a pretty big casting company in LA. And never forget saying, hey, so-and-so, I'm in town, and we're going over to meet with them, with the production crew, aren't we? He said, we're not going to be able to meet with them today. And I'm like, I just flew 5 and some change out here.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telling me we're not going to be able to meet. And he said, yeah, we're not going to be able to meet today. And I'm like, and then he told me, and you don't want to push these people, because you piss them off, you're not going to get the job.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, cool, man. Click. I hung the phone up with him. And I said to myself, I'm going to find my way over to the production studio by myself. So I found my way over to Paramount. Actually, it was called Raleigh Studios, which is across the street from Paramount Pictures. So I got over there and jumped out of the car, headed for the entrance. And you can't just walk into those places. They have a guard, check-in station. So I go up to the guard shack, and I'm talking to the guy. He says, who are you here to see? I said, well, I'm here to see so-and-so with hostage production. He said, all right, well, hang on. Let me call up there and see if they'll see you. I said, all right, cool. So I'm standing there waiting for an answer. And excuse me, there's a couple guys that were working on the set. And I never forget that they started yelling, hey, Bruce. And they started waving, hey, man, what's going on? So I was thinking to myself, yeah, today I'm going to get in here today.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be my day. So anyway, the guy says, hey, they said, come on up. So you go into the building, go up to the second floor, make a left, and the office is down on your left. So I go in, made my way up there, got into the office, met the second AD, and they had my 8x10 next to Bruce's 8x10, which I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, he says, hey, man, good to meet you. Thanks for coming out. And, why don't we walk out? Let me take you back and meet the director and a couple of the other guys on the production. So I do that. And, I meet everybody, and then we come back out into the hallway, and he says, well, yeah, we're going to be working, he's looking at the schedule. So we got about 20 days in Simi Valley, and we're going to do a couple of days over here. And I was just like, man, I was just like on cloud nine. Like, I can't believe I'm finally going to get my chance here. And another cool thing is it was my birthday. So I went out, found out I was going to get the job on my birthday. And then all of a sudden I hear somebody get off the elevator, and the guy gets off, but we're looking down the hallway like this. So I caught his profile, and Bruce showed up. So dude, I was like the hair on the back of my neck stood up, like, oh my God, I couldn't believe he was there the same time I was there.
Now, this was I'm sorry. This was what year?
This was in 2004.
2004. Okay.
Yep. So we shot, or I worked on Ladder 49 in 2003.
Okay.
So the year after that, it was the hostage film. So Bruce shows up. He's real cool, walking down the hall toward us, and I'm like this, like, oh shoot, I can't believe this. So he comes in, he looked at me, hey, how you doing? Gives me a handshake, shakes the other guy's hand, and he keeps on walking. So me and the second AD were looking at each other like, holy smoke, I need to go buy a lottery ticket. Like, what are the chances of me showing up the same time? So he goes back to I guess talk to the director, and anyway, I was just like, oh man, I can't believe this is happening. So the guy tells me, he's like, look, dude, go back to your hotel, get some rest, give me a call in the morning, and we'll set everything up. And I was like, all right, cool. So, next day rolls around. I call him up. I'm say, hey, his name was Mark. I say, hey, Mark, what's the scoop? Can you give me a schedule? And he said, yeah, man, I really hate to do this to you. He said, but the director you met yesterday, he's going to go with his guy. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's going to go with his guy. He said, I don't understand it. He doesn't look a thing like Bruce, but it's a friend of his, and he's going to go with him. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And he said, no, unfortunately, I'm not. So I got back on the plane, flew back home, feelings hurt, rejected again.
Mm-hmm.
Just feeling like, man, listen, I am done with this crap. I'm done. I'm sick of it.
Until the next time.
Until the next go around. And I had family members that they're like, man, look, you get so close. You've knocked on all these doors. They open the door, they shut them on you. You almost get your foot in, or you get your foot in, and why don't you just give up? So that's what I heard. Just give up, because you're so close, but it's just not, obviously it's not going to work out for you. It's not for you. So I'm like, yeah, well, maybe you're right. So, a year rolls by, and I mean, I was thinking about that for months, like, over what did I do wrong? What did I say anything wrong? Did I feel like I had this look, and it was just it bummed me out, man. It really got to me. And again, I think I took all them Hollywood Reporters and tossed them I'm like, man, screw, I'm done with this stuff. Until my wife and I, maybe got into the car and went to the mall or went out for dinner, and we get to wherever we're going, and the line I always got from people was, has anybody ever told you who you look like? So it was if I had a dime for every time somebody told me that, dude, I'd be retired and rich right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, straight up, and living the good life, because it was that much. So people started saying, everywhere I went, man, you look like Bruce Willis. Has anybody? So it started kind of like fanning the flame again.
Yeah.
So again, I knew I had something. I just didn't know how to get to it. And again, I always did my own footwork, and I always tried to do it the right way. I mean, I wasn't, even though I kind of went around that casting agent to go to the studio that day, but I always try to do it the right way. I mean, I did to the best, the best that I could. And, but anyway, yeah, I mean, but like I said, the flame it wouldn't die out. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like people kept throwing logs on it. So it kept burning him. And so, I mean, I just, I didn't let go of the dream. And then, fast forward to 2006. And I think I had internet access then. So I was online, checking Bruce out. Again, trying to see what he was up to. And then I see Live Free or Die Hard coming to Baltimore City. And I don't live in the city. I'm about 20 minutes outside the city, in between DC and Baltimore. So I hurried up, and by then I think I had a couple of pictures that were online then. So I was getting better, progressing.
There you go.
And so I shot a picture or two into this casting director or whatever. I got a call within like 20 minutes. Oh my God, where are you? And I said, I'm so-and-so. Well, can you get here by, in 10 minutes or whatever? I'm on my way. So I jumped in the car, went over to where they were doing a what they call a go-see. And I got there, the production was set up at this one location. The director was there, Len Wiseman. He was the director on Live Free or Die Hard. And Justin Long was there. You know who he is, actor. Yep. Good dude. And a couple other actors, actresses. And So I got there. I was nervous, man. I'm like, here we, excited to be there, but I didn't until I got the job. I wasn't satisfied, and
Yeah.
I wasn't 100% comfortable. So, and then I saw a couple other ball-headed guys that were there. I'm like, oh man, I got some competition. But I'm like looking at one guy. Like I looked at him and I said, well, he's too tall. He won't get it. Well, maybe he doesn't look a thing like Bruce. So I was like looking at these couple of guys that showed up. And then I'll never forget, they gave me Bruce's, not his clothes, but the same identical outfit to go put on so that I could go out in front of the camera, talk to the director, let him look at me, stand next to Justin Long and see what Bruce may look like next to this guy. So anyway, I get changed, get dressed, and then Bruce's wardrobe, she'd been with Bruce since Moonlighting. Her name is Lori. I said, I'm just so nervous. I don't know if I got the job or not. She looked at me and she said, sweetheart, you got the job, hands down. Trust me. So that's kind of the confirmation that I needed to finally say, you got it. And so anyway, I got the job. And if I can back up 2 years to 2004, my mom passed away in 2004, and she was like my biggest fan. I mean, everywhere she went, she would carry a photo of, me looking like Bruce and doing these look-alike gigs. And if, I had a couple of them from different movie sets. And so she would share them with people like my son, he looks at, looks like Bruce, and, he's Bruce look-alike, and he worked on this film. So I thought it was pretty cool that she, was bragging about her son. And so anyway, fast forward to 2006. My mom died in 2004, but 2006 rolls around, and when I got the job, man, I mean, it was like the most amazing feeling to finally connect with Bruce and his camp. And one of the directors, I think he was the first AD on the Hostage film. He ended up on Die Hard. So when he got into town and he saw me, and he said, hey man, we never forgot you, dude. So that made me feel good, again, to finally get hired and that these people remembered me. And so, yeah, it was just the most amazing time to finally get that breakthrough after all those years of grinding and the ups and downs and the aggravation and the hurt feelings and everything else that goes along with it. And it wasn't all bad. I mean, I had some good, working with Travolta and some other people. I mean, that was a lot of fun. So the coolest thing, again, getting hired, but then there's a scene where Bruce, he's with Justin, they're in traffic. There's an accident that happens in front of the police car that they're in, where this big trash truck slams into this cab.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I had to rehearse like everything Bruce was going to do, which was really cool. So, they didn't do the crash for real. They just kind of had the vehicles come up to each other. And then I jump out of the cop car, run over, jump up on the hood, and end up on the roof of the car. And I mean, I'll never forget that place was insane that day down in the city. It was right up a couple blocks from the Inner Harbor. And I mean, people were going bananas because they knew they were filming Die Hard. They knew Bruce was there, and everybody wanted to get a glimpse of him or take a photo or just to witness, them filming. So each one of all four of these streets, all these corners, they were packed with people, packed. There were people hanging out of their buildings, their office buildings. There was people that were, the news was there. It was insane. It was exciting.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget standing on top of the roof of the car, and looking out over all these people, but looking above them, and I couldn't help, man, but just to think about my mom,
Mm.
and how happy, and how I knew if she was looking down on me or whatever, that I had finally made it
Yeah.
and finally got my opportunity. And so it blew up from there. A couple days into filming, the big news cameras show up, and they're trying to get my photo. And at first, Bruce's camp didn't want them getting my photo. So eventually they said, just let him have it. Let him go ahead and take the photo of Eric. So guy had a lens, that big, and he was way across the street, but he zoomed in and he got what he wanted. And then I got a call from a reporter, like, 4 or 5 days into the movie. And, hey, we'd like to do an interview with you. So I did a quick interview. And so, yeah, that was cool. And then the next morning I got up to go down on set. I had an early call time. So I stopped by the 7-Eleven up the street, grabbed something to drink, and I looked. Dude, I was on the front page of the newspaper. They had Bruce's picture on the front page of this side, and I was on the other, and it said, "Who is the real Bruce?" So that was really cool to see that. I mean, where are you located?
So I'm located in Michigan.
Okay, so whatever big newspapers out there, that's what it was like back here, like the Washington Post or the Baltimore Sun.
Now, why didn't they want you to get a picture at first?
I don't know if it was Bruce wasn't cool with it, or somebody in his camp didn't want it unless he was good with it.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't want to. I'm just there working, man. So I can't control who's taking photos, or a lot of times you're on set, you don't know who's taking photos or filming. You have no clue. So you make sure you're not digging in your nose.
Yeah. Make sure you're not like ripping one, like
that's what I mean, because you don't know who's. Nowadays everybody's got an iPhone, dude. That, so you can't do anything, man. So at least crude or whatever. But so anyway, they got all that. It was really cool. I'm sure Bruce saw the paper that morning, and it's pretty much what I'm telling you. It's it was all the hit and miss times that I had. And then I finally landed that big gig with him. But something else that kind of came into play is, at the time I was a single father, and so I had custody of my children, and the timing was awesome to finally get a gig with him, but the rest of the movie was going to be filmed back in LA. So my kids were still in school. And at the time I wasn't married. I was living with my now wife. She was my girlfriend then. And, but anyway, the timing was off, because they wrapped on the first part of the movie, and then they all production went back to LA. And then I got a call from one of the producers saying, "Hey man, Bruce wants you out here. He wants to keep you." And I was like, really? But I was young, and I didn't give it just didn't give it thought. I was just so excited. Oh my God, he wants me to continue to work with him. But I got family to take care of. So I didn't, I wasn't really, I was, a lot younger. So I told my girlfriend, I'm like, "You'll be all right with the kids, right?" My kids had their mom around the corner, but they were with me. It was my responsibility. So I ended up going, and my girl told me, "I'll take care of everything. You just go ahead and go, and we'll work it out." And about 2 weeks into the shoot, I didn't feel right. And I did. So again, I went out to LA, worked on Die Hard 4 again, some more for a couple of weeks, but it just didn't sit right with me. So I had to tell them I got to go home, and they were shocked. I mean, and they weren't too happy, because now that made them scramble to try to find somebody else to fill my role.
Mm-hmm.
So I go home, and yeah, man, it never sat right with me. I mean, I did the right thing, and my kids were my top priority. I made sure I got them through school and raised them. And for 10 years, it didn't sit right with me, because I felt like I had some unfinished business with Bruce's camp. And and thank goodness Facebook rolled around. So I was able to connect with one of, Bruce's manager. And I said, "Hey man, you remember me?" And he said, "Dude, I never forgot you." "Yeah, I remember you."
So
And I said, "Well,
so how long had gone from when you left Die Hard to reaching out to the manager? How much time had passed?
about 9 years."
Wow, 9
Yeah.
years.
So Bruce was rolling. He was in the height of his career with all the Red movies and
Yeah.
all the other films that came out around in between that, from 2006 to what's that, 2015, 2014.
Yeah.
All those films, he was banging them out, man. And of course, I'm watching him like, dang, I should be in that one. I should, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, or I would like to be in it. Not that I should be in it, but because it wasn't meant to be. So I took care of my children, got them through school. Thank goodness I got, my two daughters were extremely brilliant. They graduated high school early, both of them as juniors. So they didn't even have to do a senior year.
Wow.
But, they were my priority is to take care of them. And, if anything ever came about, cool. So 2013, before I reconnected with Bruce's camp, I got a call from a casting director. "Hey, we're doing this film. It's a spoof of the Hunger Games, and it's called The Starving Games. So we'd like to bring you in as a Bruce Willis lookalike. And it's only like a day shoot. It's going to be filmed in Louisiana. And, you're going to be a part of the Expendables." And I was like, "Dude, that sounds off the hook." So I jumped on a plane, went down for a couple of days, took my wife, girlfriend at the time, still wasn't married, took her with me. And she was a big support to me through my whole journey, always there by my side, patient with me. She was my photographer at times, and and then encouraging. But she was always there for me, and just she was a rock, that I could always lean on in good and bad times. And but anyway, so I took her with me, and we shot this film, man. Shot this Expendable scene. I don't know. Did you ever get a chance to see that movie?
I saw
Starving Games.
I saw it. It's been a while. It has been a while, but yes.
So if you remember the Expendables.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You got all of us big, rough, tough. They had a Arnold, a Sly, a Chuck Norris, Jason Statham, and then a couple other dudes. There was about 10 of us, but us 5, we were in the front. And then they had a couple other dudes like a Jet Li and a Terry Crews and a couple other dudes that were behind us in the scene. But we all got these guns, and we walk up on these 2 kids that are you remember the scene, and and this boy from the back, he just mows us all down, and it was hilarious, man. But so we had a good time. So I shot that, and then it came out, and it was a pretty good movie. It was funny, and that was like the first time I saw my name in the credits. So that was pretty slick, So then we get to 2015, and I was able to reconnect with Bruce and his camp, and then the job started coming in. Yeah, the job started rolling in, and man, listen, I just wanted to get my foot in the door with him, just to do one movie. But fast forward to 2015 till now, and man, it turned out to be way more than I ever anticipated. I mean, I've been all over the world. I've been to Rome, I've been to Spain, I've been to Canada, I've been all over this country filming these movies, commercials. I mean, just absolutely amazing. It's been an amazing ride for me. And man, I'm grateful. My faith, I thank God for giving me the opportunity, because I know that's where it comes from.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, man, it's been tremendous. And the other thing that's really cool is that each set that I'm on, we're always somewhere different. So it's just so neat to kind of meet, people from different states, and just see how they live and how they do things, and just try to connect and try to inspire somebody. Because when they see us show up on set, I mean, a lot of them are like, they're kind of like intimidated. Oh my God, Bruce is here, and he's got two guys that look like it, because it's me and the stunt guy that comes in, and then a couple of the other guys that are on the team. And so it's just so neat to kind of meet people, and try to treat everybody with respect. And everybody's important, everybody's job's important. And so that's how I met Alex. I'll bring Alex into the mix here.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget that. I get the word, hey man, we're going to some town in Fitzgerald, Georgia. I'm like, I think I had to pull a map out to find that place. So, I'm like, man, that's like an hour and a half or so, some odd, minutes from Florida. It's way down in Georgia. So, we fly down, we get into town, and I'm going to tell you, dude, those were the best people I've ever met. I mean, they welcomed us, they treated us like family. And that was almost 3 years ago. And I'm still tight with Alex, his family, and all the other people that worked on the Breach movie that we did down there in Fitzgerald. Yeah. I represent.
Yeah, Fitz family sweatshirt. That's nice. Well, Bobby Lanin too, right?
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah. I met Bobby on the Breach movie, and man, Bobby's a great dude, man. He's up and coming, and he's making some noise. So.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I've known him because he's from Michigan, and I've known him for 5 years, 4 or 5 years now. He and I worked together on a couple projects, and and he's just a great guy. He was the one that introduced me to Alex, and these guys, and I had told Bobby that I was having you on, and he goes, oh man, Eric's such a cool guy. Like you will enjoy that conversation. He is such a cool guy.
He's good people, man. I think I've done like 5 films with him now.
Yeah, you guys have been crushing these. I mean, you've done what is it, Breach? You did Gasoline Alley, which I know is going to be coming out.
Yeah, Bobby and I have done Breach. He was on Cosmic Sin.
Yep.
We did that in Atlanta. We did
American Siege.
American Siege. We did Gasoline Alley. We did Deadlock. And then we just did. Oh, then I was just with him about a month and a half ago in New Mexico. It's called The Fourth Night. So he and I worked together down there. We've done about 5 of them together.
That's awesome.
He's family, So that's another cool thing, is to be able to work with people that you have a relationship with, and everybody knows each other. We all know how each other works, because each time you get on a set, I always try to find, is Alex and them going to be there? Is Bob, hoping that they'll be there, because it just makes it that much easier.
Yeah.
That we all have a relationship, and we're family, and it's just a good time, man. It's so good.
For sure.
Yeah.
Now I wanted to ask you, because I've always been curious. I've never really understood. Not necessarily understood. I've never really known or been able to see it. But how does being a double or stand-in, how does that work exactly for? So like what is it? What do you have to go through for each project that you're working on with Bruce? What's the protocol for you? What do you have to do each day?
Well, I mean, not much up here. Just, I mean, not unless he grows his out a little bit, But I always try to match him, and then I'll get the word on, what it is he's looking like at the time, and you get the script, you go over it, see what he's doing, what it entails, and then I mean, it's like magic, man. When I get on set, I get my wardrobe on, and then I can just jump right into that character. And it freaks a lot of people out, because especially people that haven't worked with him and that don't know us. So, and Bobby might say the same thing if you ever ask him the first time they met us. A lot of times I'll get there before Bruce gets there. Like on the deal we just did in New Mexico, I was there the first day, and then Bruce came in the second day. So we shot the first day, but the people out on the street, they're like wigging out. They think it's him.
Mm-hmm.
But once I get into character, man, I can get that same look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The same scowl, whatever it is, however I need to be, it's easy. Plus it makes it easier when you're with people that you're familiar with. Bobby and I did some stuff on Gasoline Alley where we, Devin Sawa, we got into a little shootout, and Bobby's with me, and, we're shooting back at these guys, they're shooting at us. And then, but that was kind of cool for me to actually work side by side with him in that film. And it was brief, but it was cool. So, I mean, I try to, I think I've done it so much now that I have the mannerisms. I don't sound like Bruce, but I can get into that character quick.
Yeah.
And I mean, nowadays, it's a lot of it. Well, Bruce comes in for a couple of days, and then I'm there for the rest of it. For the rest of the film, and it's to me, dude, just to come from where I came from, I just kind of wanted to get my foot in the door and just stand in for him. Now it's a lot of me more photo doubling for him.
Okay.
So it's turned out to be so much more, like I told you earlier, than I ever thought, which is really cool because I get to work with all the first team actors.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and we've had some good times with some of these scenes we worked, and I got to show some emotion in one of them with actually Bobby's the one that shot me. Well, he shot Bruce, but he shot me in Deadlock.
Okay.
At the very end.
Okay.
Yeah. But that was a pretty cool. I don't know if I'm answering your question. Sometimes I'll start.
And that's okay.
I hope I'm
no,
answering.
you are.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, when you get to be my age, you'll start telling a story, and you kind of veer off in the left field. But eventually, I'll land the plane, and
it's like that. It's like that scene from The Office when Michael says, "Sometimes I'll just start a sentence and I won't know where it's going, and I just hope I find the way."
I almost feel like Columbo. Like, wait a minute now. Well, let me back up 10 steps. Where did I? But you're picking up what I'm putting down. It's it's just been a good ride for me, and I don't. It's not difficult anymore for me to get into this get into Bruce's character, and try to hit a home run with it every time. So
you run. Do you run lines also for it?
It helps if I do, but I mean, that's sometimes I do, but sometimes I don't.
Mm-hmm.
I think it helps the other actor. If you and I were shooting a scene, and I'm throwing lines back at you or whatever, so it does help. But then there's some films that I haven't done that.
Okay.
But I've got the mannerisms and the head movements and the, whatever it is I need to have to help the other actor feel the scene and stay in character. And there was a pretty intense scene in the Deadlock film that I really, that was like kind of something that was new to me, like to actually have to show emotion. So I had to show some emotion, and it was without me getting into this story, there was something I went through back in 2020 that turned my life upside down. So, and it just so happens one of those scripts kind of had a little similarity to it. I lost my son in 2020 to an addiction overdose. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so it really tore me up, man. I mean, I'm still not over it. But in that script, that happened to me in July of 2020. And in the script, Bruce's son is in a the detectives go to a duplex, and they're serving a search warrant, and they went to the wrong side of it. I don't know if you saw the film, but they go to the wrong side of the duplex and get into a shootout, and they kill Bruce's son. So I was still raw with emotion. So it was easy. The Chris Cleveland, I love that dude, man. He's a heck of an actor. And he was playing the detective in that film that accidentally shot Bruce's son and killed him. And I remember Chris saying before we shot the scene, he said, "Man, give it everything you got. Just bring it." And Chris knew what I had gone through, because he and I had a chance to share and talk before we got on set. We actually caught up with each other in the airport on our way down to Georgia to film that movie. And so it was raw with me. It was only 5 months that all that had happened to me. And so we did 2 takes, and it was first thing in the morning. And I'm glad we only did 2 takes, because after 2 takes, I was worn out.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the tears, everything was there. So none of that really, even though it was acting, it wasn't for me. So it kind of took me out of my, the normal element that I'm in, like when you just got to put on a mean face or look, give a Bruce look or whatever. So it was a different deal for me, but I mean, but it was cool. It was cool that I was able to show a different side, so something that I've never done before. But anyway, so each film is different, and I mean, I feel like I've done it enough to where I'm comfortable, and I can get in there and be my best Bruce, double. Yeah. So
nice. Now, have you ever like thought about trying to figure out whether you guys are related? Because I kid you not, even I'm not just like, even in moments in this conversation, especially when you turn your head or whatever, I feel like I'm talking to Bruce Willis. I mean, like, have you guys ever thought about doing that?
Man, listen, I got all kinds of stuff going on in my family, so it wouldn't surprise me if somebody, jumped the fence or something way back. I mean, there's sometimes I look at my real father that's still with me, and he's sarcastic just like Bruce. Mm-hmm. He just got the same mannerisms, got an excellent sense of humor, but he'll get these certain looks, and I'm like, man, Dad, you resemble him. My brother's got a resemblance to Bruce also, but it's just, I don't know. I mean, maybe we need to do one of those, one of those
DNA matches.
DNA test, yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
but
man.
I'll tell you another quick one before we wrap this up. We did this film called Once Upon a Time in Venice. Mm-hmm. It had a lot of good people, Jason Momoa and John Goodman, and a lot of talented actors. And I'll never forget, we shot a lot of night scenes, so which that sucked. But it's part of the business.
Yeah.
Especially like Friday nights that we go into Saturdays that we call them Fraturdays. And but anyway, I'll never forget. I was in this little tiny Chevy Chevette. I don't even know if you know what
Mm-mm.
type of car it is. A little tiny deal that we used to have back in the day. And so I'm sitting on the passenger side, and they had a stand-in for the actor over here. Man, daggone it, I'm having a brain fart now. I'm trying to remember. Adrian Martinez.
Okay.
He's the dude that did all the State Farm commercials with the cheese head.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
yeah,
Roger.
yeah. Rages.
Man, but he is a heck of an actor. I've seen him in a couple of films, and he's another underrated dude, man.
Yes.
So I'm sitting in it's dark, and I'm kind of sitting over in the passenger side looking, and I see this guy kind of like waddling over. I'm like, man, he looks familiar, but I can't place where I know him. So he opens the door and gets in, and the whole car went boom. Because he's got a little weight on him, or he did then. And so he gets in, and he goes, "Oh, hey, man." So he thought I was Bruce, and I said, "Oh, hey, dude, what's going on?" I said, "No, I'm not Bruce. I'm his double." And he said, "Oh, man, dude, I thought you were him." And I said, "Yeah, I guess it could be worse." And he said, "Yeah, you could look like me."
You could be.
so we sat there, man. He was a funny dude, man. A funny dude. So that it could be worse. I could look like somebody else,
That's a
So
great
I've been
story.
just blessed and fortunate. I didn't have anything to do with this. I thank God for giving me what he's given me. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Sheesh. Well, do you have any things or any projects lined up for 2022 so far?
I don't. I mean, I've got something that I've got cooking for myself right now. And then I've had some people approach me, Alex being one of them. Like, hey man, if we ever do a film, we apart from Bruce Willis, would you be in? And I said, count me in, dude. If it's something I can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
He said, we'll put some hair on you, put a beard on. You do whatever you got to do. I mean, if it's something that I that I can relate to and something I think I could pull off, I said, man, count me in. So there's been a little bit of a talk about maybe a couple of projects coming up. As far as Bruce's schedule, I'm not sure what he's got going. I haven't heard anything yet. So not sure what's going to go on with that, with that side. So we'll see what happens.
Well, and I feel like it's probably not all that common to have the same double for film after film after film after film. Like that's got to say something that it works. You know what I mean? And that's I would think is a huge compliment and a testament to your work and your work ethic and what you bring to the table with every project. So that's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, dude, I mean, coming from where I came from, it just being a dream of mine to want to get my foot in the door. And then next thing you know, I'm flying across the Atlantic to Rome or Spain. Bruce didn't even go to Spain. They sent me over there to shoot the stuff over there, which, I mean, it was amazing, and then we come back and then we finish everything up in New York on this commercial. But just to be able to have that trust and to be afforded the opportunity to do it, man, I'm grateful to his team. And I couldn't have asked for more, man. So if it can encourage somebody out there that sees this, listens to it, whether you want to, you want to be a basketball player, an astronaut, whatever, just go at it with everything you got. You're going to have those ups and downs and close calls and all that stuff, but it's all part of the process.
Yeah.
It shapes you and develops you and molds you into who you are. And, you know, if you don't give up, you'll make it.
Yeah.
You'll make it. So,
Well,
yep.
Eric, before we wrap up, I always like to do a little segment called The Goods, and it's a couple rapid fire questions just to kind of pick your brain a little
Uh-oh.
bit. And
Hold on, man.
see
Let me drink some coffee so I can get.
Yeah. All right. Number one, if you could work with any actor, dead or alive, who would it be?
You know, I love Denzel Washington.
Oh, yeah.
He's if not, he's right there with Bruce to me. So anything he's in, I love that dude, man.
Yeah.
So I would say Denzel.
Denzel. Yeah. Okay. All
yeah.
right. What has been your favorite experience working on a film? What has been your favorite experience in your career so far?
I had so many of them, but I think that time I'll go back to that standing on the roof of John McClane's police car. I mean, it was just off. It was crazy, man. That to me, I've got so many good memories, but to me, that was probably, that was like the highlight.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then finally, what are some ways that you stay centered and grounded, or what are some things in your life that help keep you centered and grounded?
Well, I don't preach at anybody. I came from the streets, and if I had stayed on the streets, probably I didn't get involved in drugs and all that up, that kind of stuff. But back in my teen years, I feel like I know it to be true. If the Lord hadn't gotten a hold of me at an early age, I don't think I'd be here. But staying plugged into my faith with Jesus and staying in the book, and that keeps me centered. It also, it keeps me centered in life, man, with how I relate to people, how I view people, how I view myself, how I view God. And then, just the fact that I know where it all came from.
Yeah.
So, and I have no doubt just that how everything, when I look back and I see my life where it is and where it was before and timing, and I know that's what's kept me grounded, is my faith in the Lord. So, yep.
Well, that's beautiful, Eric. I appreciate you taking the time to be here, and I appreciate hearing all the stories, and I hope to hear more at some point.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. This was a blast. I appreciate you reaching out, and when you reached out, I was like, no doubt I'll do it, man. I'm happy to share, with you what this journey I've been on. So,
well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Stay in touch.
I will.
All right, buddy.
And that's it for this episode of The Good Life. Thank you very much, Eric, for being here. Thank you all for being here. And hopefully you can listen to his story and be inspired by his tenacity, by his persistence, by his resilience. And I just, man, I get to talk to so many cool people. And I'm blessed to be able to have that opportunity. So thank you all for always supporting, and we'll see you next week.